So, welcome. Great. Thank you for being here. Our topic talk for today is the importance of Srila Prabhupada's books. And when I was looking at this topic, one of the things that came up for me is actually what is the topic about? And it was a kind of almost like an automatic thing that it's about Srila Prabhupada's books, like a kind of knee jerk reaction. And then what I discovered actually when I looked at it is grammatically, as we'll see here, there's this thing about the subject and a predicate. So when we have a sentence, technically, we would say that in this sentence, the importance of Srila Prabhupada's books, the importance, the word importance, would be the subject, and Srila Prabhupada's books would be the predicate. So I know that might sound like a kind of pedantic, kind of, linguistic kind of thing, but it was quite key for me because rather than looking at Srila Prabhupada's books and saying, yes, they're the law books for the next 10,000 years, Prabhupada has said we should distribute books, distribute books, distribute books, like that. It was really like to establish what makes something important. So that's where I started to look. So this comes up with the question, what makes something important? And for me, at least, when I looked at that, that's a kind of like a philosophical inquiry. It starts to be philosophical. So, if we think of the word important, it's almost synonymous with value. Like what makes something important, what makes something valuable. So, in Western philosophy, at least, there are these different branches of philosophy: metaphysics, epistemology, logic, ethics, and aesthetics. And as we can see here, under ethics, it includes human values, and it kind of touches on morality as well there. But let's say for now we're looking at values. So that area where it looks at values is is covered by this term axiology, which is a Greek word, and as you can see here, and it's kind of broken down, is the study of value. So then, if we look at the Vedic philosophy, because obviously a lot of that there, what we were just saying, is based on a kind of Western perspective, and from a Vedic philosophical kind of perspective, we can say, actually, there's a quote here from Sahotra Swami, said the Saddarshanas are termed Astika, as opposed to the Nastika philosophies of the Charavakas, Buddhists, and Jains. So basically, as we know, if somebody doesn't accept the Vedas, then they're considered like Nastika, and the philosophies that accept the Vedas are called Astika. So we can fairly safely go along and say, well, okay, well, let's have a look and see what the Vedas say about it, because we're not going to go the line of dealing with knowledge outside of the Vedas. So within the Vedas, we have these different systems of knowledge: Nyaya, Vaishesika, Sankhya, Yoga, Karma Mimamsa, and Vedanta. And as we know, Vedanta, these systems have philosophers attached to them. So, for instance, Nyaya is expounded by Gautama, Vaishesika, with Kanada, Sankhya, Kapila, Yoga, Patanjali, Karma Mimamsa, Jainmini, and Vedanta by Vyas. That's our Srila Vyasadeva. So then, I know we're not Hindus, but many times when we're reading about Vedic philosophy, it will get kind of like grouped in with Hindu philosophy. And so essentially this topic here is saying that Hinduism might be identified with a core set of values commonly known in Hindu literature as Purusharthas. And those Purusharthas are, as we know, Dharma, artha, karma, and moksha. So these are the values that are commonly known in Hindu literature. So now the point that I have been basically looking to establish here, and I'm keen to get any kind of feedback and any comments or any kind of feedback about that. But the point that I was looking to get is that when we want to establish the importance, like what makes Srila Prabhupada's books, we can fairly safely say that that within the Western system, if we looked in terms of axiology, then we would see, and if we were to read into that, we'd find establishing what makes something important to society, what makes something important to individuals, and we'd then be able to establish that this is something like the literature of Srila Prabhupada is important. And similarly, if we look in the Vedic system in terms of the Indian philosophy, we could safely say that because it's consistent with the Vedic literature, so that straight away distinguishes it from the atheistic philosophies, and because, as we know, it's transcendental to these purusharthas, dharma, artha, karma, and moksha. So we can see that actually, in terms of values, it's going it's going far beyond the reach of these values that are adhered to within, as it says, Hindu literature. Although I understand we're not Hindus. So in that way, what I'm asserting is that it's fair to conclude that Srila Prabhupada's books are important, and that's what makes them valuable. And that's my little presentation today. Kind of short and sweet. I get that there's a lot more that could be said about all of that, but that's the essence of what I wanted to present. And I look forward to any comments or any questions that anybody might have. Thank you very much.